From ABC, this is a special edition of World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. At the beginning of this 8th day of the war, the Pentagon said that it was very satisfied. Saddam Hussein told the Iraqi people it's only a matter of time before the invaders leave. From Congress and the White House, again, some cautionary words that the country may well be in for a long campaign to get the Iraqis out of Kuwait. And in the battle itself, 51 Iraqis taken prisoner as a speck of Kuwaiti territory falls into Allied hands. We begin with a specific campaign to get at the 150,000 soldiers of the Republican Guard. Here's ABC's Bill Rediker.
The air campaign is beginning to shift gears. Navy pilots in the Gulf say they are deliberately concentrating now on isolating and weakening the Republican Guards.
Our target was a ammo dump, arms factory, and a Scud warhead site like you talked about.
Did you get it?
Pardon me?
Did you get it?
You bet.
We're hitting military targets, and we are not being restrained, and we're being allowed to pick those targets.
Aboard the aircraft carrier Ranger, clues to the next phase of the Allied campaign. Officers talked openly about isolating Iraqi troops in Kuwait and southern Iraq, targeting air and shore defenses in preparation for a possible marine amphibious assault.
We've also gone after naval bases and the naval ports up the river just south of Basra in a place called Qasir. And we have run the gamut of silkworm sites, which we are trying to take out because they could possibly threaten the ships that will ultimately end up in that area. And surface-to-air missile sites, ammunition storage, and those general military targets that you would want to eliminate before you put Marines or ground soldiers ashore to prosecute door-to-door fighting.
The Marines, who practiced an amphibious assault 2 months ago and were frustrated by bad weather, are again getting ready, staging an exercise in nearby Oman. 8,000 troops are involved.
The event is being conducted to give participating forces training in amphibious assault skills they will need if ordered to conduct operations in Iraq or Kuwait.
So far, ground operations have been hindered by winter weather. Marines moving toward the border have been bogged down by rain. Military sources say ground forces are hoping the air campaign will continue for at least a couple of more weeks. In the air, Allied forces had their most active day since the war began 8 days ago. 2,000 combat sorties were flown during the last 24 hours. The most impressive, an air-to-air engagement by a Saudi pilot who shot down 2 Iraqi warplanes that he said were armed with Exocet missiles and bombs.
The target is fast, heading.
The Royal Saudi Air Force released gun sight pictures and an audio recording from the cockpit.
Roger, bandits, both target destroyed, both target destroyed.
Copy, both flash.
That's affirmative.
It was the first reported engagement by the tiny Saudi Air Force. The pilot credited his American-made fighter jet and a warning from a U.S. AWACS reconnaissance plane.
It was a very easy mission for me. You know, the F-15, nobody can beat it. I just rolled behind them and fight the Iraqis, then I have just to shoot.
Early this morning, U.S. Marines launched an artillery attack against Iraqis in Kuwait, hoping to knock out a multiple rocket launcher. They strike and retreat, not knowing if they hit their target.
It's like fighting somebody that's got a longer reach. Unless you close, get in there, and knock his socks off, he'll have the advantage.
Farther east on the coast, this town inside Kuwait was deserted. Evidence of fighting was everywhere. Earlier reports of a skirmish involving U.S. Marines and Iraqi forces in the area seemed to understate the damage done here. A French television reporter said it appeared the Iraqi troops had fled from substantial air and artillery fire. Tonight, the U.S. military says Allied forces attacked Iraqi troops on a tiny island off Kuwait. After small arms fire, the Iraqis surrendered. Bill Rediker, ABC News, Saudi Arabia.
Iraq, which may not want to divulge how much damage has been done, said today that only 90 of its troops were killed in the first 6 days of the war. Iraq also claimed for the second day that civilians are being killed. It did not provide numbers, it did show pictures. Here's ABC's Sheila McVicker.
These are the images the Iraqis released today, an attempt to counter the picture of a high-tech and bloodless war. Streets of rubble, bombed-out houses, a school destroyed. These pictures were taken by Iraqi television crews and cleared for transmission outside that country by Iraqi censors. The Iraqis say this is the northern city of Mosul 2 days ago. Intelligence sources say military targets there include an airbase and chemical and nuclear warfare facilities. This could be a factory lunchroom. But these pictures were said to have been taken in a residential part of Mosul. Rescue crews scrabbling through debris, wounded and dead carried away. A small child bloodied. Mosul is believed to be crowded with many people who have fled the bombing of Baghdad. The tapes give no indication of how many civilians died. In the town of Al-Dor, 120 miles north of Baghdad, the Iraqis say 172 homes were destroyed. There is no information on casualties. Iraqi television yesterday also continued to display a captured American airman.
My name is Jeffrey Norton Zaun.
The Navy lieutenant's interrogator is familiar as Saddam Hussein's official television spokesman. Zaun spoke haltingly, his voice flat. He was brought before a camera again in spite of strong protests from President Bush. Diplomats have said Saddam Hussein believes the anti-war movement in the United States will eventually force President Bush to stop fighting and seek peace. The Iraqi president may be releasing these pictures to try to add to that pressure. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, Amman.
2 more Patriot missiles were fired by mistake in Turkey today. This time it was Dutch troops at a NATO air base in southeastern Turkey. Their computers told them the base was under attack. They destroyed the Patriots by remote control when they realized it was a false alarm. In a moment, trying to cut off the Republican Guard around the city of Basra. The Allies promised billions of dollars more to pay for the war effort. And Kent State University, what do they think?